Recently in the news, there's been a lot of discussion surrounding the Church of Satan's proposal to erect a statue near the state capitol in Oklahoma, near the site where the Ten Commandments have been erected. Now, certainly there's been a great amount of debate about this, but where I want to begin with this is just a discussion of the Ten Commandments themselves. A lot of people will claim that they are simply the basis for the laws in the United States, and that the United States is a nation founded upon biblical principles. So I just wanted to quickly retrace sort of the history of the Ten Commandments and what the Bible actually has to say about the Ten Commandments first before we move on. So first of all, the Ten Commandments are far from the first ancient set of laws that were ever to exist. For example, there was the Babylonian Code of Hammurabi, that predated the Ten Commandments by quite a bit. It's one of the earliest examples of lengthy writing that we even have on record. Additionally, there's other examples from Greek and Roman and Persian theology of godlike figures having similar experiences to Moses had with Yahweh on the mountain. For example, the Greek god Dionysus or Roman god Bacchus utilized stone tablets. The Greek god Minos received laws from Zeus on top of a mountain. And the Persian god Zoroaster also received a book of laws from the Lord on a mountain. So as you can see, all of these ideas and religions that predate Christianity and Judaism actually have pretty much the same story. So the Ten Commandments is not original or unique to the Bible. Now, there's the question of what are the Ten Commandments? Well, everyone thinks they know what they are, but that's not what the Bible says. There's actually 3 places in the Bible that describe where Moses was writing down the commandments as decreed by God. And the one that's often used is the second set, because the first set of stone tablets were destroyed when Moses came down from the mountaintop and was so infuriated that his tribesmen had created an idol and were worshiping the idol. So he had to go back up and get a second set. And that's typically the ones that Christians use and erect in front of courthouses and at state capitals and the like. But if you go ahead and reference Exodus 34, and mind you, this is the only place or the first place in the Bible where it actually refers to something as the Ten Commandments. So according to the Bible, some of the Ten Commandments include the following. You must keep the feast of unleavened bread. You must keep the feast of weeks. Do not offer a blood sacrifice to the Lord with leaven. And do not boil a goat in its mother's milk. I'm not making this shit up. You can look it up for yourself. So clearly, we have a disconnect here between what is being, spread around as the Ten Commandments that are supposed to be some of the most important things in history, if you're a Christian or a Jew, decreed by the Lord himself, and yet we don't even have the proper version. And if anything, this version of events clearly shows how ridiculous this all is. Now, the next point I want to make is, okay, some people are going to make the argument that, well, this is a Christian nation, or our nation was founded upon biblical principles and laws, and the Ten Commandments is simply a reflection of that history. Sorry, I don't buy it. Over half of the Ten Commandments, even the version that they choose to use, aren't even illegal in the United States. Let's take a look. Commandment number 1, you will have no other gods before me. Nope, that's not illegal. Number 2, you shall make no graven images. Number 3, you shall not take the Lord's name in vain. All 3 of those run along the same kind of parallel, and the First Amendment guarantees freedom of religion, which kind of quashes all those before they even get started. Number 4, keep the Sabbath holy. Well, we're certainly not arresting anyone for working on Sunday. We're certainly not stoning them to death if they're picking up sticks. Sorry, not illegal. Number 5, honor your parents. while this might be a good moral law to follow, it certainly isn't illegal. And number 10, coveting. Certainly, coveting things is not illegal in the United States. It could even go into number 7, do not commit adultery. Again, a good moral law to follow, but certainly not illegal. Now, this certainly can cause you some problems if you happen to be married, and in divorce court, this is going to be an issue, but it's certainly not something that's going to get you sent to prison. So now that we've established these facts, let's take a look at what U.S. law does dictate per the Constitution. Now, the Constitution dictates freedom of religion. We all know that. It's in the First Amendment. And what that means is that, and what the courts have ruled and continue to rule, and what precedent has been set, is that either the government can choose to allow no religions at all to have any business on government property, or if they choose to open up government property to a religious group, they then have to offer equal opportunity to all religious groups that are interested. So what this means is that since the Ten Commandments monument has been placed near the state capital in Oklahoma, that any other religious group that requests a monument be put there cannot be denied. Otherwise, their constitutional rights are being denied. So what the Church of Satan is doing, in my opinion, is brilliant, because nobody wants this statue going up. I doubt they even want this statue going up. Now, they have gotten the funding to actually make this thing and put it up, so they are serious about it, but nobody really wants this. It's all just a ruse to prove the hypocrisy of the Christians, and that their intention was never to allow freedom of religious expression, but only freedom to advance their Christian agenda. And so I think this is just absolutely brilliant, because instead of just challenging the Ten Commandments monument on grounds of separation of church and state, they're actually having another religious group challenging this, wanting equal treatment. So I'm sure this is going to be a long, drawn-out legal battle if the state of Oklahoma chooses to fight it, which would be asinine in my opinion and a complete waste of tax dollars, because they're clearly going to lose. The only possible way I see them not losing this is if they determine that Satanism isn't a valid government-recognized religion, which I don't see why the government has any business recognizing what's a valid religion or not, aside for tax purposes. But at any rate, there was also talk that there was a Hindu group that also wanted to erect a statue, so maybe they could carry the torch if the Satanist statue falls through. At any rate, hey, freedom of religion. Personally, I don't think any of it should be there, and it's not because I'm not personally religious. I just think that if you have to have one, you have to include all, and there's no reason we should be cluttering up a public space like that. It's kind of the same reason that theology shouldn't be taught in schools, because if you teach one, you have to teach them all, and there are literally hundreds, if not thousands, of religions. So it's just an impossibility. So suffice to say, I cannot wait to see what comes of this, because what the Christians in Oklahoma do in response to this will be very telling as to what their initial motives were.